I'm CM Coleman, and today we're talking about baking pans. For baking pans, you really want to look at what you have space for. Will it fit in your oven? Will it fit in your refrigerator? And do you really need it? Now, I'm going to give you my experience. With my experience, I've found that I only use a few baking pans. I have cookie sheets or sheet pans. I have a lasagna pan, or it's an 8 by 12 by 2 inch baking pan. I have an 8 by 8 pan, which I use for brownies. And then I have loaf pans, and I have a pizza pan. Those are the ones that I use normally. I do have a bundt pan, and I do have a couple other pans, but let's talk about what you really need to assess. First up, I want you to assess, are you really going to use this pan? I did have a springform pan, and guess what? I never used my springform pan. Are they great? Well, they're great, but if you're never going to use it, it's just going to take up space, so don't waste the space with it. I do have muffin tins. Do you know what? I hate making muffins. I hate making cupcakes, so I rarely ever use them. But I do have them just in case. If you were to come into my kitchen right now, you'd see that I have a ton, and I mean a ton, of loaf pans and cookie sheets and cooling racks and all those things. But there's reason for it. I do a baking show. I have to have all sorts of pans being ready for me at the least the fastest I can, so I have tons of them. You probably won't need that. What I would suggest is that you'd probably need like two sheet pans, and then two loaf pans, and then one of everything else. That should do you really, really well. But what should you look for when you look for a pan? You want to make it thick because the thickness helps distribute the heat. You want to make it sturdy. You want to make sure that it doesn't bend. Color, that's sort of interesting. The different colors have different heat properties. See what you like. Some people love to bake bread in glass. I personally don't like to bake bread in glass. Fool around with it. Find out what you like. Just make sure that it works for you. I am not a fan of non-stick pans. However, I say that, but have I used them? Yes. Have I used them successfully? Yes. If you love non-stick pans, get your non-stick pans. Just remember, if you're using non-stick pans, do not use metal utensils on non-stick pans. Makes sense, right? The directions tell you not to do this. One thing that I will tell you when I look for a pan is I really want a pan I don't have to wash by hand. I have said this more than one time, and I will say it probably 1,000 more times. I do not like to wash the pans by hand. Yes, there are some pans which specifically say that they must be washed by hand. I probably don't have those. If I do, I probably don't wash them by hand. I'll admit it. I want a pan that I can throw into the dishwasher. And some of you are now cringing, going, oh, you threw your pans into the dishwasher, you've now ruined them. And so I'm going to tell you, I only am going to get pans that I can actually wash by hand. That I can actually not have to wash by hand. That's who I am. So, recapping this really carefully, making sure you have the space for it, making sure that you're actually going to use it. The suggestions that I have given for pans that you really should have: two sheet pans, a baking pan which is 8 by 12 or 9 by 12, a brownie pan which would be 8 by 8, and both of those are 2 inches deep. Two loaf pans. Now you can go out there, if you bake cakes, you can get cake pans, and they come in different sizes. I think 8 by 8 is the normal size. And a pie pan is always fun to have if you make pies. Occasionally I make pies, and like I said, I do have the various pans. I can do these things. I have the bundt pan, but the ones that I use were the ones that I listed. So you should do this. Really check it out, see what you're going to have space for, see what you can afford. Ask your friends and ask around. I find that one of the best pans I ever had, and it somehow got lost in one of my moves, I got for almost nothing at a flour wholesale place. So it just depends. You're going to find pans that you love, you're going to find pans that you hate. Just make sure that they're sturdy and they match the requirements that you have. You like washing by hand? They can be washed by hand. Is it better to wash them by hand? Probably it's better to wash them by hand. I just don't want to do that. Read the directions on the pans and make sure that you actually follow the directions. If you do all that, you'll be fine. All right, well, I'm CM Coleman. I hope you have a great week, and tomorrow we'll have a recipe. Talk to you later, and once again, make yourself at home. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit like. You can give me suggestions, ideas, or comments in the comment section. Also, you can subscribe to this channel, and you will see different recipes, 2 recipes a week. And on Monday we have Make It Monday. Tuesday and Thursday are recipes. Wednesday we have discussion, and Friday is Free Friday, where just about anything can happen. You'll also see a link to my blog, which will have recipes and ideas for you to try. I hope you enjoyed this, and like I said before, make yourself at home.